Hello everyone, so I'm back with the latest update to the Giga Guy game that I am developing for the Mini Ludum Dare 62. So as you can see here, I've developed a new title screen for the game where it shows the city. I believe it's Tokyo off in the distance, and it pans upward. Then it shows Giga Guy right here at the beginning, and as it's panning upward, it plays the music a little bit faster. It increases in tempo as it goes up. And I'll mention that I got the music from CC Mixter, that website. They have a lot of free music that you can use for your games, and these tracks are from Ed Baller, Rays of Funk. So I'll eventually have a credit screen for this game, and I'll put all the free assets that I used on that credit screen. So I added a new level select screen, and it has the new bosses, or all of the bosses that I currently have implemented. I have one new boss, Flash Guy, that I've added, and I actually used the Unity menuing system to do this. It was my first time actually using the new Unity menu system, which I believe was introduced in Unity 4.6. So it makes some things a little bit easier. Some of the stuff doesn't really work with Playmaker. And actually, they have a way you can add a menu background, but I went ahead and used a plane. That way I could just do this scrolling effect in the background. You can't do that with the sprite object, which you must use a sprite for the menu system if you're using the Unity menuing system. So yeah, I got these guys blacked out because they haven't been implemented yet. But yeah, you can see if I hover over one of these and it'll turn like blue. So I'm going to show off the new boss I've developed, Flash Guy. So I actually rendered this little ice room in Blender, and as you can see here, he will just run from one side of the room to the other, and like every 5 seconds or so he'll freeze the room, and you'll actually see this frosty effect over there, and you won't be able to move or shoot or jump whenever this room is frosted or frozen like that. So far this guy's pretty easy to defeat. You just gotta watch out and not run into him. Whenever he freezes the room, he'll shoot 3 times in a row, but basically just goes back and forth. And I used one of those free elemental assets for that freeze effect in this level. So he's a pretty simple boss. By the way, it doesn't lock you out from selecting a boss again on the level select screen, so you can play these bosses as many times as you like. But yeah, it's a fairly interesting boss fight to implement. Basically, I set a velocity going back and forth. Once he reaches one side of the room, he starts going the other way. And then if his velocity ever hits 0, like he's hit one of these steps, then I go into the jumping state. So it'll make him jump so he can jump up. And so basically he just goes back and forth. Now I would like to have it if he goes so far, and like right here when he's already past you, maybe make him turn around so he's just not like facing your back. So there's a few things that I could improve with this boss fight. But yeah, that's Freeze Guy right there. And of course, after you defeat the boss, now it has a check. If you defeat the boss, then it will take you back to the level select screen. Or if you're defeated, then it will just replay that screen over again. So I'll just go ahead, for anyone who hasn't seen these other fights yet, I'll go ahead and show these other bosses. This is Air Guy, and the only thing I need to fix with this is the pattern of the little clouds that he shoots out. Right now they're just all random, but I want to have like one cloud per like row, so they're not all, they don't end up all clumped together. This is the second one that I implemented, Metal Guy. So basically, if you get too close to him, he'll jump over to the other side. Then you got this platform on the bottom, which goes back and forth. And then he'll, when he's on one side, he'll jump up and shoot either 1, 2, or 3 little metal saw type things. They just look like circles right now. Eventually I'll go in and add better graphics for those. So, well, I got beat by them that time. And takes me back to the level select screen. The last boss that I have implemented is Wood Guy. I showed this guy off the last time, and he has like the little shield that spins around him, so you got to jump over that and watch out for the little bullets that fall down from the top of the screen. So he's fairly simple, especially if you start shooting him while he's got his back turned to you. But yeah, that's all the bosses that I have for now, and hopefully by the end of the official mini Ludum Dare 62, I'll have the other ones finished. No promises, but currently I have half of the bosses that I want to implement completed right now. Yeah, so I just want to show a little bit behind the scenes here. This is Blender right here. So this is actually the Flash Guy room that I modeled. So basically this started out just as a plane right here. Then I did a subdivision surface. So I split this into a bunch of different squares, and then I extruded upward for all of the faces. You can actually change to face select mode, and you can use the B command to select these and move these up or down however high you want these. And then I went in and I selected like around the sides of the room, and then I imported this texture over here. I got it from a free texture website, and I basically imported it into GIMP, and then I made it kind of this icy blue color. So I have two textures here, one for the top and one for the bottom. This is more icy. This kind of looks like bricks up here. So I just mapped all these using a projection view. You can go to mesh and UV unwrap and then do a project from view. So if you're doing an overhead view from 7, then that will pretty easily unwrap it for you, so it actually looks like the overhead projection here. Also have the title screen, or just the title text. So I made a very simple texture in GIMP. It's just like this blue gradient. That's all I really used. And then I made the Giga Guy text over here off to the side. That's basically just a simple font object right here, so you can actually click on it and you can see all the different vertices. So I actually did have to go in and convert this to a mesh from the actual text object, and I believe you can do that with an Alt-C. You can convert it to a mesh, and yeah, that's all you do, and then you just pull it into Unity and it's good to go. Yeah, and so here's the actual title screen right here. So as you can see, it's just one image, just one big plane, and then I have the camera right here. The camera has an FSM, so it starts out at the bottom, and then it just keeps moving upwards until it reaches this top value right here. When it reaches 25 units high, then it will stop. And then after it stops, it's going to activate the title object. So right now it's unactivated, so you can't see it, but once you click on it, once it gets activated, then you can see it right there. And then the title object also has an FSM. It starts out as idle, then it moves in till it reaches its final destination. Then it waits for a little while, then it zooms out and zooms in, so you get that zooming effect right there. And I also have a directional light as well, so it just basically pans left or rotates left and right, so it gives a little spotlight effect whenever it goes over that title text. As I mentioned earlier, here's the level select screen. So it's just using this canvas object within Unity, and then it has all the different like button areas for each of the boss characters that you can select. And as I mentioned earlier, you can actually have an image right there in the background, but you can't do that scrolling effect, so that's why I have this other background image right there. So this one I can actually go in, and I have an FSM, and all the FSM does is it adds 1 to a float value, which is the offset. Then it uses this set texture offset to move that background image up, so it gives that scrolling effect. And I do have a script, a level select script over here, and that's what does all the logic for the buttons whenever you select one of the button areas. And it just goes in here and it uses the global variable that the user has, which stage they have selected. So it uses this FSM variables, global variables, FSM int. Then you specify the variable, global variable name. In this case, it's level. And then you get its value. Then that way you can either get or set that global variable. Then it just loads up the game, so it's pretty straightforward after that. After you do that, there is a place where you have to go in right here on the canvas, and then you assign those different button values here. And also for each button, you have to scroll down to the bottom, and in the button script, then you have to add the canvas object and then select which method within that script should be executed whenever the user selects that button. And finally, I have the game screen as usual, and in this one I added the new Flash boss right here, and this is his basic FSM right here, the movement FSM where all the logic takes place. So basically he gets set up, he just waits around for a couple of seconds for everything to initialize, then he starts moving left, and then I go in, like I said earlier, set the velocity so he moves left, and then if it gets his position, and if it's lower than like a -5 right here, then he starts moving right, so it flows down to a moving right. But if his velocity, you get the velocity, and I store it in this speed variable right here, and if that equals 0, then I'm going to do a jump. So I got the jump action over here, and the jump, it just adds a force of 300, so it gives him a little boost so he can get over the step. Now, unfortunately in this one, I had to have 2 separate jump states, because if I just had one jump state, it wouldn't know whether to go back to the move left or the move right. Now, I could have had another variable to track that, but I just decided it is easier just having 2 separate jump states. And also, you can also see that I have 2 stop states. And this is when he starts to shoot and he freezes level. He doesn't want to, I don't want to have him walking while he has the room frozen. I want him to stop, freeze the room, and then shoot 3 bullets. So I have another FSM, the shoot FSM. So basically in the shoot FSM, he's going to be idle, and after 5 seconds, he's going to call this do shoot event, which sends them to the shooting actions. And also, once he starts shooting, well, he's going to spawn this freeze bullet, and I can show that real quick. That's just a bullet type. It's not technically a bullet, but it does, if I drag it up here, it does have that freeze snowfall effect right there. So it sort of acts like a bullet, as it has a lifetime, and it provides an action to the player, because whenever this bullet is instantiated, well, I'm going to have a lifetime with the bullet. Whenever the bullet is instantiated, then I'm going to get a reference to the player object, and then for the player, I'm going to find the movement FSM. I'm going to whenever it's instantiated, I'm going to uncheck the enable. So I'm going to disable movement. I'm going to find the shoot FSM. I'm going to disable shooting, and I'm also going to disable jumping. Then after 5 seconds, it's going to transition over to the kill state, and that's killing the freeze bullet. And in that, it's just going to find the player again, it's going to enable movement again, it's going to enable jumping again, it's going to enable shooting again, then it's going to destroy itself, just so it cleans up and I don't have all these freeze bullets laying around everywhere. One issue that I've found with disabling these FSMs, it seems to work in this case, but in other cases, when you're in the middle of an FSM and you disable it, when you re-enable it, it goes back to the start state. So that's something you got to watch out for, because that could mess up some of your logic. I know I had the boss, he was moving over to the right, and I'd disable the boss so he'd quit moving, but then when I re-enabled it, he would start moving to the left again, just because he was back in that start state. And also, whenever the freeze bullet is initialized, it will play that freezing sound. That's another sound that I downloaded off of freesound.org. So that's basically it for tonight. Hopefully I'll have one or two more updates before I call this done. When I do have this completed, I will make sure to post it on an online service such as Game Jolt or Itch.io. So anyway, I appreciate everyone watching. Thank you.